Hello everyone and welcome back to another video from our channel, Immortal News. Today we invite you to join us for a gentle and heartfelt remembrance. We'll be honoring the American stars we've recently lost, as well as beloved figures from around the world whose lives touched us in ways we may not even realize until they're gone. These are the stories of people who made us smile, inspired us, and left behind memories that continue to echo in our hearts. Before we begin, if you could take a moment to give this video a like, it would truly mean a lot. Your support helps us continue sharing these meaningful tributes and keeping their legacies alive. Thank you for being here with us. Now let's begin. Number 9. French tributes remember Brigitte Bardot as a woman who chose to give up everything for animals, and as a legend whose life of freedom shone far beyond her country's borders. Brigitte Anne-Marie Bardot was born in Paris on 28 September 1934. She would grow into one of the most recognizable faces on the planet, and a symbol of French liberty and style. Her breakthrough came with the role of the teen bride in God Created Woman in 1956. That film brought her world fame and made her one of the first global sex symbols of modern cinema. Over the years, she appeared in more than 24 films, including Dear Brigitte alongside James Stewart and Shalako with Sean Connery. Bardot's talents did not stop at acting. In the 1960s and 1970s, she recorded songs such as Harley Davidson, Bubblegum, and Le Soleil de ma Vie, building a successful music career. From 1969 to 1972, her face was chosen to embody Marianne, the figure that represents French liberty. Behind the glamour, she faced serious struggles with her mental and physical health and spoke openly about moments of deep crisis. At 39, in 1973, she decided to retire from acting, stepping away from the spotlight at the height of her fame. A new chapter began when she met Paul Watson of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society in 1977. This encounter helped focus the passion that would define the rest of her life: the protection of animals. In 1986, she founded the Brigitte Bardot Foundation for the welfare and protection of animals and devoted her energy to this cause, giving up her prestigious career to fight for a more respectful world for animals. Brigitte Bardot died on 28 December 2025 at the age of 91 at her home in southern France. She is remembered as a French cinema icon, a symbol of freedom, and a pioneer of animal rights, whose foundation continues the work she began. Tributes to Brigitte Bardot. Number 8. Those who worked alongside Pat Finn often remembered how his easy laugh and generous spirit made long days on set feel a little lighter. Pat Finn was a gifted actor whose face and voice became familiar to millions of television viewers. Over the course of his career, he brought to life characters who felt like people we might actually know, adding warmth and humor to every project he joined. Many fans remember him as Bill Norwood on the hit series The Middle, where his friendly everyman presence fit perfectly into the show's portrait of everyday family life. He also appeared in some of television's most beloved comedies, including Friends and Seinfeld, where his timing and charm helped create moments that audiences still revisit and quote years later. Off-screen, Pat's life was rooted in family. He shared his life with his wife, Donna, and together they built a home filled with love over 35 years of marriage. They raised 3 children, Cassidy, Caitlin, and Ryan, who were at the heart of his world. Those closest to him speak of a devoted husband and father who took joy in the simple moments, time around the table, shared stories, and the everyday rhythms of family life. Pat's passing leaves a quiet space in the world of television and in the lives of those who knew and loved him. But his work lives on in the shows that continue to make people smile, and in the memories of colleagues who remember not just his talent, but his kindness and professionalism. For the fans who grew up watching him, and for the family who knew the man behind the roles, Pat Finn's legacy is one of laughter, warmth, and a life that touched many, both near and far. Tributes to Pat Finn. Number 7. Mickey Lee was someone whose authenticity, strength, and bright spirit stayed with people long after they met her, and that is how she will be remembered. Michaela Shalon. Mickey Lee was born on March 31, 1990. She was an American television personality and event curator from Atlanta, Georgia, whose warm presence drew people in wherever she went. Outside of television, she poured herself into curating events and experiences, sharing her creativity and love of bringing people together. Many came to know Mickey through Big Brother Season 27, where she was announced as one of the original house guests. Inside the house, she quickly became a fan favorite. She competed with determination and heart, winning an interrogation power that helped her become head of household in Week 4, and later winning the Blockbuster competition in Week 6. Mickey spent 59 days in the house, ultimately finishing in 10th place as the final house guest, evicted before the jury phase. Behind her on-screen journey was a life marked by resilience. Mickey was born with a hole in her heart, a congenital condition that shaped part of her health story, but never defined her spirit. She continued moving forward with courage, joy, and an openness that touched those around her. Mickey passed away on December 25, 2025, at age 35, after multiple cardiac arrests while hospitalized with complications from the flu. Her passing on Christmas Day brought deep sadness to her family, friends, and the many fans who had come to care about her. Those who loved Mickey remember the joy she brought into their lives, the way she showed up as her true self, and the strength she displayed in every chapter of her journey. Through her time on Big Brother and her work as an event curator, she left a legacy of connection, laughter, and heartfelt moments. Tributes to Mickey Lee. Number 6. Those who watched his work or shared a stage with him often remember a man who carried his stories with quiet courage and deep humanity. Mohammad Bakri was born on 27 November 1953 in the Palestinian village of Be'ina. He went on to study acting and Arabic literature at Tel Aviv University from 1973 to 1976, building the foundation for a life dedicated to art and storytelling. His professional journey began on stage, performing with Habima Theater in Tel Aviv and Al-Kasaba Theater in Ramallah. From there, his career grew far beyond his hometown. Bakri made his international film debut in Costa Gavras's Hana K in 1983. Over the years, audiences came to know him through powerful roles in films such as Beyond the Walls, Private, Cup Final, The Body, Wajib, and the series The Night Of. His work reached viewers across France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Canada, and Italy, making him a familiar face in both Palestinian and international cinema. As a director, he turned his camera toward the lives and voices around him. His documentary Jenin shared testimony from residents of the Jenin refugee camp and went on to win the Best Film Award at the 2002 Carthage International Film Festival, as well as an international prize for Mediterranean documentary filmmaking and reporting. He also directed works like 1948, Since You Left, and Zara, and was recognized with honors including the Palestine Prize for Cinema and multiple Best Actor awards at festivals around the world. On stage, he captivated audiences with one-man plays such as The Pesoptimist, The Anchor, Season of Migration to the North, and Abu Marmar. Many came to see him as one of the founding fathers of Palestinian cinema, a person who carried the stories of his people into theaters and homes across the globe. Beyond the spotlight, Mohammad was a husband to Layla and a father of 6. 3 of his sons, Adam, Ziad, and Saleh followed in his footsteps as actors, continuing the family's connection to the arts. Mohammad Bakri died on 24 December 2025 from heart disease at Galilee Medical Center in Nahariya at the age of 72. His work, his courage, and his dedication to telling difficult stories leave a legacy that will be remembered by many. Tributes to Mohammad Bakri. Number 5. Those who were blessed to cross paths with Jeffrey Roy Holland often speak of a man whose faith, kindness, and steady leadership lifted everyone around him. Jeffrey Roy Holland was born December 3, 1940, in St. George, Utah. From his early days as a student leader and varsity athlete at Dixie High School and Dixie College, he showed a blend of energy, dedication, and heart that would define his life. As a young man, he served a mission to Great Britain from 1960 to 1962, an experience that deepened his devotion to the gospel he would spend his life teaching. He later married Patricia Terry, building a family centered on faith and learning. Education became one of his greatest callings. He earned a bachelor's degree and then a second master's degree and PhD in American Studies from Yale University. That preparation opened doors for him to serve, teach, and lead. At Brigham Young University, he was appointed Dean of Religious Education in 1974 at just 33 years old, where he founded BYU's Religious Studies Center. He later served as the university's 9th president from 1980 to 1989, guiding thousands of students during key years of their lives. His influence reached far beyond one campus. As the 11th Commissioner of the Church Educational System, he helped shape religious education across the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In 1989, he was called as a general authority and member of the First Quorum of the 70, and in 1994, he was ordained an apostle. Over the years, he served in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, as acting president of that quorum, and finally as president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles beginning October 14, 2025. Jeffrey R. Holland was also a writer and bridge builder. He authored 14 books and received the Torch of Liberty Award from the Anti-Defamation League for his efforts to improve understanding between Christians and Jews. His service took him around the world, from organizing the church's 3,000th stake in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to speaking at the UK Parliament's House of Lords. He died December 27, 2025, at the age of 85. His legacy lives on in the classrooms he cherished, the congregations he loved, and the countless people whose faith he strengthened. Tributes to Jeffrey R. Holland. Number 4. Those who heard him play often felt not just the brilliance of a virtuoso, but the quiet presence of a deeply thoughtful artist sharing something personal. Gary Graffman was an American classical pianist, teacher, and administrator whose life and music reached far beyond the concert stage. As a pianist, he became known for his artistry in the classical repertoire, bringing clarity, sensitivity, and intellect to the works he performed. His career at the keyboard placed him among the respected musicians of his generation, admired by audiences and colleagues alike. Yet Gary's influence did not stop with performance. He dedicated a significant part of his life to nurturing the next generation of musicians. As a teacher, he helped young artists discover their own voices, guiding them with the insight of someone who understood both the technical and emotional demands of great music. Many students who passed through his studio carried his lessons forward into their own careers, extending his impact around the world. Gary also served as an administrator, a role that called on his sense of responsibility to the broader musical community. In this capacity, he helped shape the environment in which young musicians could learn, grow, and perform. His work behind the scenes showed his belief that classical music thrives when institutions are thoughtfully led and artistically focused. Across these chapters of his life, pianist, teacher, and administrator, Gary Graffman remained committed to the art form he loved. His legacy lives on in the performances he gave, in the students he mentored, and in the musical institutions he helped guide. Tributes to Gary Graffman. Number 3. Musicians who stood beside Don Bryant remember looking over in mid-song, eyes wide, thinking, "This man is something else." Donald Maurice Bryant was born April 4, 1942, in Memphis, Tennessee, into a home filled with harmony and faith. His father, Eddie Bryant, led the vocal group the Four Stars of Harmony, and from the time Don was 5, church was his first stage. That early exposure to sanctified Southern gospel shaped the voice and heart he carried through the rest of his life. As a young man, Don sang with family and neighborhood groups like the 5 Bryant Brothers, the 4 Canes, and the 4 Kings. Those groups eventually led him to respected Memphis bandleader Willie Mitchell, and then to High Records, where Don's gifts as both a singer and a songwriter began to shine. At High Records, Don became a trusted staff writer and a recording artist in his own right. He fronted the 4 Kings on early singles and released the album Precious Soul. Behind the scenes, he quietly helped shape the sound of Memphis soul, earning credits on roughly 154 titles. He wrote songs for artists including Al Green, Etta James, Otis Clay, Solomon Burke, O.V. Wright, Albert King, and most personally, Ann Peebles. With Ann, whom he married in 1974, Don found both a creative partner and a life partner. Together, they co-wrote the classic I Can't Stand the Rain, a song so revered that John Lennon once called it the best song ever. Don spent much of the 1970s writing, touring, and performing with Ann before stepping back from the spotlight in the 1980s. He never lost his faith or his love of music. He returned with a gospel project in 1986, supported Ann after her stroke in 2012, and then surprised the soul world with a late career renaissance. Teaming with the Bokeys, Don released Don't Give Up on Love in 2017, his first soul album in 48 years. The record earned 5 Blues Music Award nominations, including Vocalist of the Year and Album of the Year, and led to international tours. He followed it with the album You Make Me Feel and the single A World Like That. Donald Maurice Bryant died December 26, 2025 at age 83. He leaves behind a legacy of craftsmanship, faith, and soul, from the church benches of Memphis to stages around the world. Tributes to Don Bryant. Number 2. Those who watched him play and worked beside him remember a man whose quiet excellence seemed to lift everyone around him. David John Downey was born October 28, 1941, and died December 27, 2025. He was an American collegiate basketball player whose name is woven deeply into the history of the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. On the court, Dave Downey was a force. Playing for Illinois from 1960 to 1963, he scored 360 points in 72 games, averaging 18.9 points and 11.0 rebounds per game. He set the Illinois single-game scoring record with 53 points against Indiana on February 16, 1963, a mark that still stands as one of the great performances in school history. He was the team's MVP in each of his 3 varsity seasons and helped lead Illinois to the 1963 Big Ten championship. His peers and coaches recognized his greatness. Downey earned first-team All-Big Ten honors in 1963, second-team All-Big Ten in 1961 and 1962, and first-team All-America honors from the Helms Foundation in 1963. That same year, he received the prestigious Big Ten Conference Medal of Honor, celebrating his excellence in both academics and athletics. Though he was drafted by the San Francisco Warriors in 1963, he never played in the NBA. His legacy instead grew through the generations of Illini fans and players who followed. He was elected to the Illini men's basketball All-Century team in 2004. His jersey was raised and honored in the State Farm Center in 2008. He entered the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 1973 and the Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame in 2018. Downey's leadership extended beyond basketball. He built a distinguished professional business career and later served on the University of Illinois Board of Trustees, continuing to give back to the institution that had shaped him. He was from Canton, Illinois, where he had been a leading scorer at Canton High School, and he made his home in Champaign, Illinois. In every phase of his life, Dave Downey stood for hard work, integrity, and a deep love for the University of Illinois. Tributes to Dave Downey. What's trending on the internet? You know, some stories touch the heart in a way that stays with us, especially around the holidays. This is one of those stories about love, family, and a man who meant the world to the people around him. On Christmas Eve in Tucson, California, 61-year-old grandfather Thomas Fabian Alvarez was outside his home, simply doing what many of us do that time of year, enjoying a quiet evening with family nearby. In a sudden and heartbreaking moment, a large tree branch fell and struck him, and he sadly did not survive. The details of the accident are being handled by local authorities, but what truly matters to his loved ones is not how he left this world, but how he lived in it. Thomas was known as a gentle, kind-hearted grandfather who adored his family. His son described him as more than a dad, calling him his best friend. Those closest to him say he was the type of person who would help anyone, always with a warm smile and a calm, steady presence. The kind of father and grandfather who showed up, listened, and gave his time freely. Family members shared that Thomas loved spending time with his grandchildren and took pride in being there for them. He was a quiet, steady rock in their lives, a man who worked hard, loved deeply, and found joy in simple moments together, a shared meal, a conversation, a laugh in the backyard. In the days after his passing, friends, relatives, and neighbors have come together in support, wrapping this family in care and kindness. A fundraising page was created to help Thomas's family with unexpected expenses, and the messages pouring in speak of gratitude, respect, and love for a man who made a real difference in everyday ways. For many of us, stories like this remind us how precious each day truly is. They encourage us to call that loved one, to give an extra hug, to say "I love you" a little more often. Thomas's life is a gentle reminder that what endures is not the busy schedule or the big plans, but the love we share with those closest to us. As his family moves forward, they're holding tight to their Christmas memories, their family traditions, and all the small, beautiful moments that made Thomas who he was. They remember his kindness, his patience, and the way he made them feel safe and loved. And that is how he'll be honored. In every family gathering where his stories are told, in every grandchild's smile that carries a bit of his spirit, and in every act of kindness done in his memory. Though this Christmas Eve ended in sorrow, the legacy Thomas Fabian Alvarez leaves behind is one of love, family, and quiet strength. That legacy will live on in the hearts of everyone who knew him, and in the way his family continues to cherish one another, just as he taught them to do. News 2. So, have you heard the latest about Barry Manilow and the incredible way he's facing a very personal health challenge? Barry Manilow, the beloved singer and songwriter behind classics like Mandy and Copacabana, is now 81 years old, and he recently opened up about being diagnosed with skin cancer for the third time. This time, doctors found a spot on his nose. It's a scary word, cancer, but Barry is talking about it with honesty, calm, and even a little humor, and that's inspiring a lot of people. Over the years, Barry has dealt with different forms of skin cancer, including basal cell and squamous cell, and he's had them treated successfully. In this latest chapter, he shared that he noticed a small area on his nose that didn't look quite right. Instead of ignoring it, he went right to his doctor. They caught it early, treated it, and he's now recovering and continuing his life and work. What stands out is how Barry is using this moment not to focus on fear, but to encourage others, especially folks in his own generation, to take care of themselves. He's reminding fans to pay attention to their skin, get regular checkups, and never feel embarrassed about going to the doctor, even for something that seems minor. In his gentle, down-to-earth way, he's turning a personal struggle into a public service. Think about his journey, from a kid in Brooklyn who loved music, to an entertainer who's been on stage for decades, filling concert halls and living rooms with songs people still sing along to. Now, even as he navigates health challenges, he continues performing, recording and connecting with audiences, proving that passion and purpose don't have an age limit. For many longtime fans, Barry's music is tied to special memories: first dances, road trips with the radio on, and evenings spent listening to records at home. Hearing him speak so openly about his health reminds us that the people who make the soundtrack of our lives are human too, with their own worries and doctor visits, just like the rest of us. Yet through it all, Barry is staying positive, leaning on his medical team, and encouraging early detection and sun protection. It's a simple, hopeful message. Take care of yourself, listen to your body, and don't wait to ask for help. As Barry Manilow continues to sing, perform, and share his story, he'll be remembered not only for the unforgettable hits and the big, joyful shows, but also for his courage, his honesty, and the comforting way he reminds us that, at any age, we can face life's challenges with grace, good humor, and a song in our hearts. News 3. You know, some stories remind us just how precious second chances can be. And this one comes from a face many of us have been watching for decades: Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase, now 81 years old and beloved for his roles on Saturday Night Live, the National Lampoon's Vacation movies, and so many classic comedies, is opening up about a very serious health scare that nearly took his life. In a new documentary on CNN, Chevy shares that he went into heart failure, fell into a coma, and woke up with significant memory loss. He explains that this happened several years ago, when his heart simply couldn't pump enough blood, leading doctors to act quickly to save him. He was placed in a medically induced coma, and when he finally woke up, he realized that pieces of his memory were missing. For someone whose life and career have been filled with timing, lines, and stories, that was especially frightening. But Chevy talks about it with remarkable honesty, and even a bit of that familiar wit. He describes the confusion of waking up, not fully understanding what had happened, and then slowly piecing his life back together with the help of his wife, his daughters, and his medical team. Instead of dwelling on what he's lost, he focuses on gratitude for what he still has: time with his family, the joy of hearing from fans, and the chance to keep making people smile. The documentary also looks back at his long career, from his breakthrough on Saturday Night Live to his unforgettable turns as Clark Griswold and beyond. It reminds us how often he brought families together in front of the television, especially around the holidays, and how laughter became his way of connecting with people all over the country. Chevy admits that aging, health challenges, and memory issues haven't been easy, but his message is gentle and hopeful. He encourages others to pay attention to their health, to listen to their doctors, and to cherish the everyday moments with loved ones. He also says that, despite everything, he still loves making people laugh, and that the sound of laughter is something he will never forget. For many viewers, this new chapter in Chevy Chase's life is a powerful reminder that even our comedy heroes are human, and that courage can look like simply telling the truth about what you're going through. His story is about survival, resilience, and the power of family support when life takes an unexpected turn. As fans continue to enjoy his classic movies and share those favorite one-liners with new generations, Chevy Chase will be remembered not only for his sharp humor and iconic characters, but also for his openness, his perseverance, and his enduring ability to find light, even after some very dark days. News 4. You know, every once in a while a news story comes along that reminds us just how precious our loved ones are, and how carefully they deserve to be treated, even after they're gone. In Arkansas, the family of 79-year-old Earlis Marshall is living through something no family should ever have to face. Mr. Marshall passed away earlier this month and was taken to Jefferson Regional Medical Center in Pine Bluff. But when his daughter Tanisha came to say goodbye, she knew instantly that the man lying there was not her father. Somewhere along the way, Earlis's body and another man's had been mislabeled. The hospital has since acknowledged that one of the bodies was mistakenly released to a funeral home and cremated. That means one family held a memorial and said their final farewells, never knowing they were honoring the wrong person, while Mr. Marshall's own family was left without the chance to say goodbye in the way they had planned. Jefferson Regional has launched a full investigation, brought in outside help, and says it is reviewing every step of its procedures to understand how this happened and to make sure it never happens again. Hospital leaders have apologized to both families and expressed how deeply sorry they are for the pain this has caused. Through it all, Earlis's daughter has spoken with grace and courage, saying that what she wants most now is the truth, accountability, and changes that protect other families down the road. It's a reminder that, even in heartbreak, people can still look outward and try to spare others the same kind of hurt. For anyone who has ever lost a loved one, this story touches a tender place. It calls on hospitals, funeral homes, and all of us to remember that behind every name and every chart is a beloved parent, grandparent, neighbor, or friend. As this investigation continues, many in the community are choosing to remember Earlis Marshall not just as the man at the center of a difficult news story, but as a father, a family man, and a life that mattered. And in speaking up, his family is helping to shine a light on the importance of dignity, respect, and care, so that others may be honored properly in their final moments and remembered with the love they deserve. News 5. Let's talk about a Christmas story that's touching hearts all over the internet right now, centered on actor James Van Der Beek and the power of family, faith, and hope. James Van Der Beek, the 47-year-old actor many of us remember from Dawson's Creek, is sharing how his family celebrated Christmas this year, while he continues his very private battle with cancer. James, his wife Kimberly, and their 6 children gathered at their home in Texas and opened up a little window into their holiday on social media, giving fans a look at joy, togetherness, and gratitude in the middle of a very challenging season. In photos and videos he shared, you can see James smiling with his kids around the Christmas tree, enjoying simple moments like cozy pajamas, gift opening, and quiet time at home. Even without going into medical details, he's been honest that he's facing cancer, and yet his focus has been on the blessings right in front of him, his health today, his marriage, and the laughter and love of his children. What stands out most is the way he talks about perspective. Instead of leaning into fear, James is leaning into gratitude, speaking about how this experience has made him cherish the small things, reading stories to his kids, watching them play, and gathering around the table together. He's also encouraged his followers to listen to their bodies, to take their health seriously, and to show up for the people they love. Fans from around the country have been flooding his posts with kind messages, prayers, and memories of watching him grow up on screen. Many have said that seeing him celebrate Christmas with his family, even amid cancer treatments, has reminded them to slow down, hug their loved ones a little tighter, and appreciate the time they have. For older viewers who remember James as a young actor just starting out, this new chapter shows him as a devoted husband and father, grounded, reflective, and using his platform to spread hope rather than fear. His Christmas celebration this year is less about presents and more about presence, being fully there for the people who matter most. As James Van Der Beek continues his cancer journey, many are drawing inspiration from how he's choosing to live each day with courage and gratitude. However his story unfolds, he will be remembered not just for his roles on television, but for showing what it looks like to face life's hardest seasons with love, faith, and a heart full of hope. Number 1. Those who loved Imani Smith remember her as a bright, loving young woman whose talent and spirit seemed to light up every room she entered. Imani Smith was an actress and child performer who stepped onto one of the biggest stages in the world at a young age. She performed as young Nala in Disney's The Lion King on Broadway, appearing in the show from September 27, 2011 to September 23, 2012. It was a role that showed her as a true triple threat performer, and those around her saw how fiercely talented and vivacious she was. Imani grew up around the world of theater and film. Her mother, Monique Rance Helper, worked as a hairstylist on major stage and screen productions, including The Lion King, Eclipsed, Once on This Island, The Lightning Thief, In the Heights, and Pose. Her father, Ronnie Helper, and her two younger siblings were part of the close family that supported her. In her own life, Imani was a mother as well, raising a 3-year-old son who was at the center of her world. On December 21, 2025 in Edison, New Jersey, police responded to a call and found Imani with multiple stab wounds. She was pronounced dead at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital. She was 25. Authorities later arrested Jordan D. Jackson Small, her 35-year-old boyfriend, and charged him with first-degree murder, second-degree endangering the welfare of a child, third-degree possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, and fourth-degree unlawful possession of a weapon. Officials noted that the two knew each other prior to the incident. In the wake of this tragedy, a GoFundMe was created to help her family with funeral costs and crime scene cleanup. Those closest to Imani describe her as vivacious, loving, and fiercely talented. A young woman who had her whole life ahead of her, and whose gifts as a performer and as a mother meant so much to the people around her. Tributes to Imani Smith. Those who worked with May Britt often remembered a quiet grace that seemed to follow her both on and off the screen. May Britt, born Madge Britt Wilkins on 22 March 1934 in Lidingö, Sweden,